Greetings, noble masters. It is with great joy that I present myself to you that day. A revival is on the horizon, right there, within our field of vision. This is your rebirth and of an entire planet. We have been prepared and willing to be at that point where the magic expands and everyone can already feel it. But today I come to tell you about the experience, about the feelings that their bodies bring them in demonstration of the divine flow path to perfection. Their bodies are capable, alone, of the path placing the universal heartbeat, sense the feel and thus internalize itself. For a long time, the energy density did not allow to distinguish them clearly that welfare information, confidence, inner peace and pleasure that brought them their bodies when they were following and listening to their spiritual awareness. That made him accustomed to no more aggression also realized that many behaviors brought to their bodies, it was nothing but an aggression against yourselves, an act of disaffection. Thoughts, behaviors and feelings that sustained, were continually attacking their bodies, causing them to premature aging and the development of disorders that entailed the loss of physical health. There was, however, a subtle sense of weight, density, whenever supported these feelings, thoughts or behaviors at odds with what he was saying essence, your spiritual awareness. Whenever they followed that ego desire, that want a high without reason to sustain those behaviors or feelings based on human pain, his body was there to warn. He brought them a sense of weight, malaise, fatigue, exhaustion that in the end, was a warning of their spiritual awareness that something was the disrespect that were working against themselves. For a long time the pains that carry within them led them to acts of disaffection against themselves and their siblings. These behaviors, ultimately ended up get them out of your balance centers, causing them to attack their own physical bodies, creating this subtle sense of weight, malaise, stress that with repeated practice had just to lead physical instability and the development of bodily ailments. In recent years their bodies are in vibrationally rise. For this reason began to feel a latent demand, now no more subtle, changes of habits and behaviors. With the vibrational elevation of their bodies, that subtle feeling of old, will become evident. Their bodies no longer accept many of the acts and thoughts that were part of their daily lives. They will scream for a change of habit. Actually always they shouted, but the change in vibrational range of the level they were in and what passed with the support acts of disaffection was subtle. Now this difference gets bigger waves and feel the obvious way to change the energy level of their bodies, yearning to remain at higher levels of well-being and health. This is a great sign for them to change their habits and behaviors. In fact neither can be called signal often is an order, because some old habits will become unbearable to maintain. Therefore, they are feeling this latent desire for change. Much of what we thought to bring pleasure and not even be able to abandon them today even more conceive practice. They replaced many of the old habits for a higher way of being and thus should continue to do. Their physical bodies have been and will be important indication of instruments that lifting process. This is because their consciences radiate energy substance that affects their physical bodies. You can thus support both when they are in balance their bodies and want interior, how can pollute with thoughts and behaviors in disarray. However, all their behaviors, thoughts and feelings will be to reflect on their physical bodies. To go inside, however, they will be creating a virtuous circle where they will be recognizing, listening to the inside wanting this will lead to satisfaction and well-being by putting in energy balance. Your physical body is to follow this process, bringing them satisfaction and well-being or otherwise, to show them when they stray from the path of the heart. Opting habits and unloving thoughts immediately be having feelings of heaviness, pain, malaise, physical and emotional exhaustion. But know, dear, that whenever return at lower habits or make decisions in violation of their beings, this is a good time for inner reflection. That's because throughout the imbalanced demonstration will be to find a human pain, a lesson that still have not overcome. Their bodies will be indicating to them that moment of reflection, but only seeking an answer within it that will be, day by day, lining up and rising, recognizing and overcoming these pains that bring on the grounds of restriction environment that arose. The feel is then an internalization instrument, an indication, a sign to seek your inner self, your soul will, to love each other and respect each other as beautiful beings they are. Listen to him and seek his sacred heart, For there will be the answers to the raise the unit's flow. The answer will always be access to its interior, but the Heavenly Father, to allow entering this restrictive environment, given the tools for them to meet because He is wise and love them unconditionally. Use up this instrument that the Father has given them, the physical body, so that they are in to expand amid the living environment. So will sustain your balance and your body health, well-being in a circle. I am Hilarion and keep in my heart the radius of healing and well-being of their bodies. So I became a deep knowledge of this wonderful tool that the Father has given them, and today I ask you that they pay attention to the message that their bodies transmit them. It is an important tool for them to return to their loving balance. I say goodbye with great love.